Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the REC podcast, brought to you by REC Comics and Collectibles. I'm your host, Roman Chavez, and with me sometimes, and not usually as always, the Big Tuna.
Hi.
Hi. Jordan Tunney joined me on the pod today. He had some ideas he wanted to talk about, some smoked meats he wanted to share. You can follow us on Instagram at REC Podcast. You can follow myself at Roman REC Podcast. And you can follow the shop at REC Comics. And you can check us out at 7679 North Union Boulevard in Colorado Springs, Colorado. And the Big Tuna, he's around, swimming upstream, doing what he do. All right?
What do I do?
I don't know what you do.
I don't know what I do.
But Eric's been having some car troubles, and Big Tuna had something that he wanted us to do. So go ahead and set us up on today's show.
All right, yeah. Well, I figure it's Thanksgiving week. Obviously, everyone's getting out there doing their last-minute Thanksgiving shopping. Getting your Thanksgiving presents for the Thanksgiving elves and whatnot. So, am I the only one that did that?
Yeah. You're Christen and crossing, bro.
Yeah, sure. So it's I'm pre-gaming for Hanukkah. So, so I thought we could have some Thanksgiving Day themed topics to talk about and address. Also, obviously with Black Panther 2 coming out and how it did at the box office, I started thinking about how big some of these superhero movies were. Mm-hmm. So I did a quick search. Looked at Box Office Mojo, which is kind of the main source for how movies do in terms of their sales, ticket sales, and domestic gross, and all of that. So I have a list of the top 10 highest grossing superhero movies they've categorized as superhero movies. And we're going to challenge you to see if you can list out the 10 in order from the highest grossing from the list to the least grossing. Okay. So these are the top 10, and I give you a list of the 10 movies, so you don't have to try to come up with it out of nowhere.
Thank you, because that would have been tough. I already see some things I wouldn't have
Why don't you run down the list? So these are the 10 movies that Box Office Mojo considers as superhero films. They're I just kind of did them in quick kind of like alphabetical order. But my challenge to Roman is going to be to list out the number one, which of the movies is the highest grossing, made the most amount of money in theaters, to the 10th highest grossing. Obviously, there's much more than 10 superhero movies. I just went with the 10. All right. So why don't you go through the list and tell us what's on there?
All right. So we have Avengers Age of Ultron, Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, Dark Knight Rises, Incredibles 2, and Spider-Man No Way Home. Was No Way Home the most recent one?
No Way Home was the most recent one.
Okay, all right. Yeah. So, man, it's between these two. I'm going to go Avengers Endgame.
That's your number one?
As the highest.
Okay, that's a good choice.
All right. And then I'm going to say Black Panther 1. Then I'm going to say Infinity War. Oh, man. Yeah, get in your sausages. Right?
Yeah. While he's doing that, I'm enjoying a traditional Pilgrim Thanksgiving plate made up of various meats, made up of various farm animals. Cheeses, or once were cheese. We've got some mustards. From it's only mustard if it's from the mustard region of France. Otherwise, it's sparkling Dijon sauce. But yeah, no. Roman and I share a love for the Hickory Farms. Something we found out years ago, and I thought it'd be fitting if we're talking Thanksgiving stuff to have a little snack plate. So,
and this is one of my favorite things. I absolutely love meats, cheeses, crackers, and definitely mustards. Oh my god, I love mustards.
There you go. Mustard guy. Mustard kind of guy.
All right, man. This is getting tough. I'm at 4, 5, 6, and 7.
See, and that's the thing is, it's usually the hardest part tends to be the middle.
Yeah.
Because you can kind of make a case for why, this movie's got to be up there, number 1 or number 2. Or, I know this movie kind of underperformed maybe, so it should be closer to 10. But those middle ones there, that's where the meats would go in the sandwich.
Yeah.
So, and you're a sandwich guy.
Oh, I think I messed these up. All right.
Oh boy. And if he gets any of them wrong, he has to close the shop.
Oh my god.
So this is high stakes.
This wasn't part of the deal, man. Tooth. Age of. All right, I've got it. Oh, this is wrong. All right.
All right, so here's what we're gonna do. So I've got the old list here, the old mojo, and I'm gonna run down. I'm gonna start with 10 and work my way up. So we'll go through there and kind of start off there. So I'm looking at Box Office Mojo. I'm looking at the lifetime gross. So this would include if a movie got a second theatrical release. Spider-Man No Way Home got a second theatrical release. So that would be included in the formulation, and all of these are going to be not adjusted for inflation. So if a movie came out 2012 Avengers, let's say, ticket prices have changed a little bit, but they're going strictly off of how much money it made in its run. Yeah. Okay. So starting off, you've got Incredibles 2 at number 10. Incredibles 2 is actually not at number 10. Captain Marvel comes in.
Oh my god!
Rounding out the top, which makes sense considering she gets 78 cents of every dollar that they superhero earn, something like that. That's all right though. Number 9, you've got Dark Knight Rises. Number 9 is The Dark Knight Rises, right on the money there. All right. Yes. Interesting fact: the movie was heavily inspired by Charles Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities. Which is the story of a guy who he's born in France, lives in London, goes back to Paris. It's during the Revolution. It's during what they call the Reign of Terror. That's Robespierre. That's the guillotine. All the violence. And when you look back at the movie, you see Bane breaking people out of prison, like the storming of the Bastille, which kicked off the French Revolution. And you see these mock trials that are put together to try people and find them guilty. Yeah. The story talks about witnessing somebody. There's a character in the book that's knitting while these trials are taking place. If you look very carefully in the film, you will see Bane knitting during one of those trials.
Are you kidding me? And I did not know that.
Yes, and the culmination of The Dark Knight Rises with the death of Bruce Wayne. You've got the unveiling of the statue, and you hear Gary Oldman as Commissioner Gordon, who's reciting kind of a passage from a book at what turns out to be the gravestone of Bruce Wayne. Well, the passage he's reading is the last passage from the main character from A Tale of Two Cities. Oh. So very interesting to see those similarities there. You hit the nail on the head. Number 9. Number 8, you've got The Dark Knight, which is a very good guess. 2008 for The Dark Knight, so that was quite a while ago. But number 8 turns out to be Age of Ultron.
Oh,
so Avengers movie, their second outing. It was pretty divisive between fans. Some people felt it didn't live up to the hype. It introduced obviously some new characters, gave us a lot more backstory. We already knew now they were heading in the direction of Thanos, the Infinity Stones. You said you watched it. You've watched it more than probably any other human being. What is it about Age of Ultron that you love so much?
It's my favorite of the Avengers films outside of... when you talk about Infinity War and Endgame, they're so big, it's obviously better. But this one is the most comic book to me. Like you said, we introduced Pietro and Wanda. We get Ultron, which is one of the best Avengers bad guys. Who else was new in there? There was one more, I thought.
Claw.
Claw was introduced. Yeah. So we got a lot of just really cool deep cuts comic book stuff. And I'm a big fan of how they take the thing I know and make it into something else and make it really interesting. And it's like a good cover song. It's like, I understand the beats, but they're doing their own thing for the MCU. And when you can get there, it really does help solidify the MCU.
So while I want you thinking about your favorite cover song, I do think that one of the things Age of Ultron did, and I don't think it gets a lot of love for it, is it gave us arguably one of the most important MCU characters that's ever been introduced, and that's Vision.
Oh yeah, Vision.
So
yeah, I didn't say it.
And they created his character in a very understandable way, taking kind of Ultron's attempt to make this body for him and then kind of co-opting it and stuff. That was a clever way to tie it in there for sure. Do you have a favorite cover song?
I think the one that makes me I'll always play it is Real Big Fish's Take on Me from the Basketball soundtrack.
Yes, good ska.
Yeah, great ska.
Good ska stuff,
good. Just musically, it's heavy. It's fun. The singers they're really hitting those high notes. They got it. What about you?
Yeah, for sure. Jimi Hendrix, All Along the Watchtower, remake of the Bob Dylan song, and if I had to really nail one down, weirdly enough, Torn by Natalie Imbruglia is a cover. Oh, we got a happy plate. Look at that. Yay.
I did it.
Yay, he gets dessert, and I didn't bring dessert. But I would say probably if I had to pick like one jam, and it's almost on like a daily repeat, is going to be Johnny Cash's Nine Inch Nails.
Oh, that's up there. That's up there
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, I think it's a better version that, like, it was almost like Trent Reznor wrote it for
Yes.
Johnny Cash to sing.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's one of those songs that like you hear, like I hear the artist singing it, but like I can also tell like it's not a Johnny Cash does it, but it's not a Johnny Cash song.
Yeah.
You know, so it feels like it pulls. It makes it. It's got a uniqueness to it.
Totally.
It totally matches the voice there. So.
Oh man, I'm whiffing.
It's all right. Number 7. So number 7 you had as Captain Marvel. Number 7 is The Dark Knight.
Okay.
So Dark Knight was towards the bottom there. Obviously coming out in 2008, same year that we got the MCU introduced with Iron Man.
Because it was the first superhero $1 billion film. Was
Right.
The Dark Knight.
Right. And again, Batman Begins 2005, a few years earlier, definitely had some success.
Some juice.
But there really hadn't been, it wasn't really clear what direction they were heading in terms of, we had just come off of the dark times, as I call them, the Joel Schumacher Batman, and I think there was a question of where are they going to go with a sequel? What are they going to do? And the Dark Knight. I know you've said before it kind of has lost a little bit of its rewatchability, but it really did take what the foundation of Batman Begins was and expand it.
Yeah, it was a great sequel. Great sequel. One of those when you want your sequel to be better than the original, it's better than Iron Man 2. It's better than Thor 2. In terms of sequels. Sure. And for me, the Heath Ledger performance still holds true, but the story's really flimsy in the end. All right,
yeah. So coming in number 6, you've got Spider-Man: No Way Home. Number 6 is Incredibles 2. Incredibles 2, which is crazy. Which is crazy because of the gap in the years. I mean, none of these movies are a sequel to a movie that had come out so far earlier.
11 years, I think?
Yeah,
10 or 11
probably
years?
10 or 11 years at least, yeah. Because we're probably talking, mid-20s or so, maybe 2004 maybe or so. But yeah, we're talking about 2016 probably for Incredibles 2. So definitely some gap there. Number 6 is Incredibles 2. Number 5, you have the original Avengers. Number 5 is The Avengers.
Yay!
So The Avengers right on the money there. Obviously that was a big gamble. They had done these successful solo movies. Probably the least considered successful of them was The Incredible Hulk, but we had this recasting. They're introducing Mark Ruffalo as the Incredible Hulk as Bruce Banner. And definitely, brought the heroes together in a clever way. It was neat to kind of see them not as allies originally. There was a lot of tension there. There was that moment on the helicarrier where Bruce is like starting to kind of lose control. He's holding Loki's staff and everything. So definitely
great moments.
Definitely the first movie that you could watch it, but you really will enjoy it more having seen the Thor movie, the Iron Man movie, and kind of seen where this stuff is sort of heading towards.
And then it holds well as a solo film too. Like they give you enough and they make you want to go back and watch it. There were people, we were there. There were people who hadn't watched all the Iron Mans, who probably skipped Thor and only watched Cap. So it made them want to go back and see what was coming up.
For sure.
All right, so I had Age of Ultron in the wrong spot.
Yeah, Age of Ultron you have as number 4. Infinity War is actually number 4.
Okay.
So that was pretty close there. Number 3 is Black Panther. You had Infinity War at number 3, but Black Panther's number 3. Number 2 is actually. I'm sorry.
Is it No Way Home?
Number 2 is Spider-Man: No Way Home.
I did not know it made that much money. Wow.
Yeah. Now I don't have the numbers in front of me specifically, but it did get a re-release. 804 million dollars.
Wow.
So we're talking just over $800 million, and it's released there.
I didn't even realize. Wow.
Yeah, quite remarkable. And then number 1 is Endgame.
Yeah.
And you had that, and I think that one,
it's so rewatchable.
It's so rewatchable. It really was. Even though you had the Avengers and it's a team up, and Avengers 2 is still a team up, and then Infinity War. They had marketed it originally as Infinity War Part 1, Infinity War Part 2 when it was announced. And so there was this expectation that, it's going to be this all roads leading to.
Yeah.
And I think that out of all of the MCU movies, Endgame was truly, so far, the definitive what would you call event film? You know, like everything was building to that moment. You knew people had died along the way. You know, we had some deaths in some death that stuck.
Yeah.
You know, we had Pietro's death in Avengers: Age of Ultron. We see, you know, Vision die in Infinity War, but we've got like the stakes were high.
The stakes were high.
The stakes were high.
We didn't know when everybody dusted. I mean, you figured, but you know they were really selling it. Like, you know, we might not have. We knew that we weren't going to get out clean.